Was I surprised that Sabrina and Stephen got married? No. Was I surprised that they broke up? Also no. But this tea that Sabrina was bringing to the reunion, I was not expecting. Personally, for me, why I thought that their relationship might not work long term is because they were taking things day by day. They weren't being very serious about their future, like especially with them being long distance. I instantly thought her staying in Northern Ireland and him being in London, I instantly thought that might not work. And I just feel like it's unrealistic in a marriage. Like, fair enough if you guys live like, 2 hour, 3 hour drive away, but in different countries. I was like, if they stay together, it must be love. It must be love. But clearly it was not. I was also thinking that possibly with the future kids talk and stuff might be an issue, just because I felt like Sabrina was being very agreeable in that conversation, because to me it seemed like Sabrina was very indifferent about having kids, while Stephen was very much like, I want kids and I want them to be like my biological kids. So I thought maybe that might come up if Stephen kind of wanted to have the kids sooner rather than later, but that wasn't a factor of why they broke up. So the distance played a big thing. And not just the distance, but the lack of communication. Sabrina expressed that there was just a disrespectfully low amount of effort from Stephen, who doesn't like to call. He doesn't like to text, but they're long distance. Like, that makes no sense. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes I don't mind calling actually. But sometimes, especially when you have a lot of people in your phone, like I just want to be left alone. But I feel like in a marriage, you make that effort, especially if you know that your partner wants you to make that effort. You're in a long distance marriage, of course you'd make the effort. You would at least check in, I would hope, like every other day, And then it came to, well, how often did each other go to each place? So Sabrina had gone to visit Stephen 7 times. And Stephen had gone to visit Sabrina in Northern Ireland twice. That's diabolical. And I see this a lot in long distance relationships. I feel like most of the time it's the woman going to go meet the man rather than the other way around. Then Sabrina goes on to spill further tea and basically say that he ditched Christmas. Like they had planned to spend Christmas at Sabrina's, and 2 days before he was meant to go to Sabrina's in Belfast, he bails. Their first Christmas together as a family, he bails 2 days before he's meant to go. That's just that, Stephen. That's diabolical. That's kind of when you know your man, not even your man, your whole husband don't rate you. What are you talking about? 2 days before you were meant to go for your first Christmas, you bailed. Oh, Lord. And then basically it comes out further that basically Stephen's excuse for the fact that he hasn't been making an effort to go see Sabrina, why he couldn't go to be with her family at Christmas, is because he's broke. Sorry? What do you mean you're broke? What do you mean not even 6 months into the marriage they're already running into money problems? What? And come to find out, they got married when they were both jobless. Hey! What do you mean you're both jobless and you're getting married? Sorry, my love is not blind though. I need to see the bank statements. Like, how irresponsible. Now, Sabrina, she, was about her business. She got her business up and running real quick. But Stephen was struggling. But in the pod, Stephen was talking it up like, oh, he's this entrepreneur. He has this gym business in London. Meanwhile, he's broke. And this is why I don't be trusting these entrepreneurs. Like, when a man says he's an entrepreneur, I need to see your bank statements. I need to see where your business is registered on the government website. Because a lot of these entrepreneurs do not have a pot to piss in. And a lot of them are very prideful. So when they start this business and it starts failing, they feel like they have to keep going until, they can get their business back on the ground again to prove a point. And they will waste their time trying to, get this business back up and running. Because Stephen is talking about he lost all his clients. Okay, why couldn't you go get another job? Like, a lot of these entrepreneurs will just run up their savings, get into debt instead of just getting a job, getting a retail job, getting a supermarket job, getting a warehouse job, getting any job to keep themselves afloat, as well as try and save their business. No, they don't want to be seen in these places because, you know, they've got too much pride and it would feel like they failed if they go back to like a retail job or warehouse job for the meantime. And you know what, I get that pride thing, and I feel like that's all well and good to be, you know, that stubborn when you're single and you're only having to depend on yourself. But when you have a whole wife and you can't even fly to Ireland, how much are the tickets on Ryanair? Like, if you're really bargain hunting, you can get to Ireland for like a tenner. I can understand him maybe not wanting to come to Christmas empty-handed, but he still could have got some gifts. He could have gone to Facebook Marketplace. He could have done some baking, you know? He could have found some gifts for cheap. So I'm guessing it was either a pride thing or he just didn't really like Sabrina like that. He said at the time at Christmas they weren't in a good place. So maybe he was just like, you know what? I'm about to break up with her soon anyway. And I can definitely tell that Sabrina was pissed that she was broke, because she was talking about how she had spent £70 on him when he came to go visit her. Not you spent £70 on. Like, she was pissed because she was saying how he said that he was going to provide for her, but clearly it was the other way around, hun. And this is why more women need to be entitled to men's money, because what do you mean? Because what do you mean 6 months into the marriage you're already experiencing financial problems? This is, you know, surely the financial problem arc should be coming like a couple years in. Not 6 months. Hey, a couple years in. Okay, maybe you fall on hard times, but 6 months in, absolutely not. This is why my vows will be for richer or richer. And in my prenup, I will say I'm not going to be involved in any brokenness that you experience. Like 6 months in, I'm getting an annulment. Now, Sabrina was also saying other stuff like how he basically didn't, you know, really care about her. Like, she was making all these accommodations for him, but he wouldn't do the same. Like when they would hang out with each other, he would just do his own thing and not really take her into consideration. And I feel like this is what happens when you're too agreeable. Because Sabrina very much gives, yeah, that's fine. Or she, you know, she backpedals a little bit. And when you give men an inch, they will take a mile. So if you know that you're a backpedaler, a people pleaser, just do yourself a favor and get with somebody who's on the same page as you, so that you're not having to do this backpedaling. But yeah, Sabrina was pissed. She was definitely throwing him under the bus. And Stephen was pissed that Sabrina was throwing him under the bus, talking about, you know, I'm not, you know, there's things that I could say about you, but I'm not saying it because, you know, I respect our marriage. He was pissed. He was also saying that some things that she was saying were not true and that, you know, those aren't the facts. And when men start talking like that, they're guilty. I believe everything Sabrina is saying. And this is why it's important to build your marriage on a solid foundation. All of this wishy-washy stuff, you know, is bound not to work out. Very rarely a shaky foundation works out in the long run. And if you're marrying an entrepreneur, make sure that you're checking the bank statements and checking the tax return. But what do you guys think about Stephen and Sabrina breaking up? The golden couple, it seemed, of this season has gone rusty real quick. Are we shocked? Are we not? What do we feel about the tea that's been revealed? Do we believe Sabrina? Do we feel like Stephen needs to say his side of the story? Because they kind of cut him off when it looked like he was going to start to spill the tea. They were like, oh, let's draw a line underneath it. I know, I wanted to hear what Stephen had to say, but I feel like I believe Sabrina. But what are you guys' thoughts?